From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, our show where we count down the top 10 things of the week that make us go wow.
Wow.
I am honored and thrilled to be joined by James St. James and Tom Campbell, and I am Finn Bailey, and we all work at World of Wonder.
And we three are the original recipe. We're the original recipe.
We're together again. Yes, it's a rare thing when we can all be together.
Blake is out getting his hair cut today.
Oh, yes, we are all together, are we?
I know, but Grace is very kindly standing in. And we'll
apparently, what happened, what I've heard, is that it's very hard to get an appointment with this person that who cuts his hair, and so there was no way he was going to miss this. So he gave up the radio show so we could get his.
We have to find out who it is who does his hair.
I think it's Kenneth. Is Kenneth still around?
It's Sally Hershberger.
It's Alexander de Paris.
That's right. Blake is in Paris right now. All right, let's start the countdown. 10, Tom.
Number 10.
I have one word. Mahogany. Diana Ross. Diana Ross. Diana Ross. We are bowing if you can't see us. Good or bad, Fenton, I can talk about Diana Ross every show for 10 segments. However, she truly earned it this week to be on the wow list. It was the Met Gala, which we're going to talk more about. I'm going to focus on one guest. The guest is Diana Ross, who the Met Gala was celebrating Black dandyism. I don't care the topic. Miss Diana Ross literally and virtually and cosmically shut down the red carpet. She's 81 years old. Stairs to me right now, and I'm 20 years younger, make me tired just looking at them. She not only ascended the stairs, which took a little bit of time because they had to, have a lot of men, including her beautiful son Evan, help her up the stairs, and it took her a little time to get up, and so people were hashtagging like "you can't hurry love," which I thought was right. And she looked so beautiful in this big wide brimmed feather cap. People like Zendaya were dressed in homage to Diana Ross in mahogany, and yet here she is outperforming Zendaya.
Wait a minute, hold on. I think you're giving that a bit. I thought it was Bianca Jagger that she was doing, that Zendaya was doing.
Well, look up. It's a style, but look up mahogany white hat Diana Ross and tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. I'll give this to you. I'll let you have this.
Diana Ross shut down the red carpet. Wouldn't it be fair to say that the dress and the train was so large there was no room for anyone else on the red carpet?
No,
right?
That's one way to look at it. During COVID, I used to show pictures of Diana Ross and the Supremes, where Diana Ross would be ahead and they'd be behind, and say that she was a pioneer in social distancing. Well, she did it again by having a cape that no one literally could be on the red carpet at the same time. You've seen all the good clips by this point. If you haven't, you can find them online. But Zendaya was right behind her and stopped and let her go and bowed to her and snuck in and took a picture. But we talk about Madonna being in her 60s. We talk about these divas doing it. Diana Ross at 81 just made the biggest splash at the biggest social event of the year.
You should mention too that she hasn't been there in 22 years. This was her first appearance in 22 years.
Yes.
And on the cape, that 18-foot train, she had embroidered the names of her children and grandchildren. So it meant a lot to her personally, but it also was just a show-stopping number.
And the dress was a collaboration between Ross, her son
Matthews.
Evan.
Ross Matthews helped.
No, yeah, and Ugo Mosey, who was a Nigerian designer. So right on theme with the night. But Diana Ross has represented Black excellence and excellence her entire career. So the fact that they were honoring all these legends, and here was a living legend who made such a profound statement, it really bowled me over.
And, I'll tell you something, that there are few people still who can take your breath away when you see them, who are that big of legends. And when you saw Diana Ross, it was a heart-stopping moment. Still, Madonna still can do that too. There were people there who were just, Anna. I mean, still to this day, these people are legends, and Diana was the biggest legend of all on that night.
Well, let's carry on at number 9, because I think, James, you're going to continue this theme, right?
Number 9.
I am. It's easy to poo-poo the Met Gala. It's easy to dunk on some of the outfits. It's easy to pick apart who should be there and who shouldn't be there and do all that. But you do forget that it is a fabulous charity event that raises millions of dollars for the museum, and for that reason alone, it is what it is, and it is a fabulous event. This Black excellence, Black dandies, is something that should have been done 20 years ago. Frankly, it's crazy that it took this long. It's an excellent theme, and it resonates so much. Even in 2025, it does. It's a perfect time for this. I would have liked for Andre Leon Talley to have been alive to see it. I would, Anna said that she sort of did this for him. Virgil Abloh. I mean, there are some Black dandies out there who are gone that it was nice, but I was excited to see A$AP Rocky. I was excited to see Pharrell. There were some people, Zendaya, Janelle Monáe. There were people that I knew were just going to rock it. And
how about Andre 3000 with the piano strapped to his back?
Well, the joke was he brought Alicia Keys with him.
That's funny.
Who looked fantastic to me? Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
She's been experimenting with fashion since she's lost a little weight, and she had that Oscar dress, which wasn't so bad, but it got mixed reviews. But her dandy, I think it was Tom Brown.
It was Tom Brown, yes. And
wasn't that Janelle Monáe? Wasn't she wearing?
Yeah, Janelle was wearing that too, where it was the coat, and then she took it off, and it was sort of the opposite color blocking. It was really spectacular. Yeah. But Whoopi does, Whoopi, for all her, grumpiness about dressing up, when she does dress up, she really goes for it. She's always in big ball gown, Christian Siriano ball gowns. She was very fun. But there was a very weird interview with Anna Wintour that I saw on Instagram, just bonkers. And she's entering into this eccentric phase where the wig bob is bobbing more than any wig has ever bobbed before. The dark glasses are bigger and darker than Bono has ever worn. And you just wonder what it is when she goes home and takes the wig and the glasses off. What's underneath all of that? Because she's just a goofball now. She's just in her goofy period.
Goofy looks wise, or what?
Yes, she looks bonkers. She just looks insane. But God bless her, she has those 17th century amethysts and aquamarines and citrines.
The feedback I've been hearing is that Anna was seen without her sunglasses on in an interview for one of the first times ever. And there was a cute little clip of a Black gospel choir singing Ain't No Mountain High Enough at the opening, and Anna was there with her glasses off, and she was bopping along. I thought Anna looked like more fun than ever this year.
Well, no. I say this with love. I say that she's a kooky eccentric with all the love in the world, because I love when people enter into that period where they just everything gets bigger and crazier and
it's the Iris Apfel era.
Yes, it's her Iris. She looks like she's having fun, and like I say, I will always love Anna for those.
Something I also noticed and loved, apparently there was a stain on her dress.
No. Apparently what it is, because I did a little deep dive into this, It looked like a stain. It looked like a little blood drop. But sometimes, I don't know if it's an African-American designer thing or whatever, but they put a little red stitching on something to, I can't even tell you what it's for, but it means something. And it means
okay.
Homework, James. You have to rewrite the Devil Wears Prada line about cerulean blue and take down Fenton for thinking that was a stain. Explain why that's fashion.
I'm sort of plunging around in the off the peg racks, right, of Ross Falas, just thinking, I'll get this old stained garment, but actually,
you don't understand fashion
by designers at midnight. And I have a question for you, James, because you know everything. who was it leaving the hotel in some giant sort of box with umbrellas? Like, what was all that?
That was Doechii. Okay.
Doechii.
And she was apparently she was very berated her staff and was yelling at them and calling them all sorts of names. And it was, and it was funny because she's basically in a shower curtain. She's got 4 shower curtains and then umbrellas over it so nobody can take pictures of her or see her. And then she got on the red carpet and it was just like a pair of shorts and a jacket. It was like all of that for nothing. I mean, like, I understand if you're Diana Ross and you need to have, things around you so that nobody can take pictures of you, or Janelle Monáe or something, but this was not, her outfit was not worthy of all
Diana
of that.
Was very peaceful and very placid. It took a long time and she seemed very not bothered, very in her moment. Just to talk about Diana Ross again.
And to make it all about us, Drag Race judge and contestant alumni were represented by Chapel Rowan, right? Cynthia Erivo, Tracy Ellis Ross, Doechii, Laura,
that's
and
the other
more.
nice thing too. Speaking to Tom's right there, it's a very nice thing that Tracy Ellis Ross was there on the red carpet with her mom. And Tracy Ellis Ross is somebody who is a nepo baby, but who deserves all the love and fame that she has. She really has worked her ass off to get to where she is. So it's nice to see them both there, deserving to be there and deserving of all the love that they get.
I love it. Shall we go on?
Please.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Kylie's Tension Tour. It is her first, can't believe this, it's her first stadium tour. And of course, Kylie
in America. I'm sure she's had them in all over Europe, right? Don't you think?
Right. Because the last time I think she was in America, she did the limited, the Jewel Box Vegas review, I guess. But this is a big stadium tour, and it's been going on since February. I think she's playing something like 25 countries, 70 shows, in 25 countries. And from here, goes to Europe, and then South America, and then Mexico. So you can catch it in Mexico, middle end of August. And, it's odd that it's called the Tension Tour. I mean, obviously, that's her last album was Tension 2, I think. And before that, it was Tension. But I cannot think of a less tense experience. It was so completely relaxing and lovely. And she is so completely beloved. And it was just amazing to think that, I guess she put out her first single, I Should Be So Lucky. I think it was in
87.
Yeah. So this is a 40+ year career. And I got to say, the audience just adored her. And I guess you could have killed every gay in the village if someone had let off a bomb. But
I have to reclaim my conspiracy theory that Kylie Minogue is a government experiment gone right, because in the 80s, she was created by the government to have tones and proportions and things to attract all gay men all over the world to her for no reason. It was blindly, and that the government wanted to round up large groups of gay men in case they had to extinguish them if they couldn't find a cure for AIDS.
What are you nattering on about, girl? That's
James is telling me that I'm full of conspiracy theories. James,
that is dark.
Are you Kylie fans?
Of course.
No.
I don't dislike her, but I find her just a little bit light, a little bit pop.
And therein, I think, lies the genius. Because if you look at some other great icons who have depended on controversy to keep the focus of attention, Kylie has done it in a light, could be one way of putting it, but she hasn't offended or upset anyone. And she hasn't had to resort to any attention-grabbing strategies. She just is. And I suppose I personally love, Can't Get You Out of My Head. La, la.
She has amazing songs. That's true.
They're very easy songs, and that is no shade. I think I love them for their sort of, it feels like when you hear them, you've heard them before, but you immediately love them, like Padam Padam. I mean, it's kind of a bonkers song, but it feels lived in, it feels used, it feels like it's been around since.
She's defied all the rules, all the odds. She is supernaturally beautiful and youthful. She deserves all the success. I'm not trying to put her down, but
no. And in a way, maybe she's a little bit like Robbie Williams from Take That, in the sense that, well, it's an unfair comparison, but, you know, Kylie is huge in Australia and in the UK, because she was on Neighbours, a soap opera, and she is bigger elsewhere than in the States. But she has steadily, I guess, unlike Robbie, really built up a really devoted, loyal following.
And it might have something to do with a government experiment gone right, or it might not. People are talking about it.
Show me where she hurt you, Tom.
And I love the news. I love Lights, Camera, Action. I love that single. That's one of her more, you know, I think that
Lights,
came up.
Camera, Action, let's go. There's the extra beat. Lights, Camera, Action, let's go.
Well, it's fantastic. And I will just say this, and then I will stop. But you know, at all stadium concerts, they have the little stage in the middle of the floor. So they do the main thing on the main stage, and then they sort of reappear in the middle as one of the people in a little tiny stage.
Yes.
And at one point, she pops up in the middle of this little tiny petite stage, and this disco ball descends from the ceiling, and it lights up. And I swear to you, the entire cryptocurrency.com stadium, it was the most spectacular use of a disco ball I have ever seen in my life. It was just
that comes from a man who's seen a lot of disco balls in his years.
I mean, I've seen a lot of disco balls, yeah, and otherwise. So, on that note, let's take a break. I will just say the nominations are out now for the Gaming Awards, which is the world's only LGBTQ plus video game award show, premiering exclusively on Wire Presents Plus worldwide, July the 8th. But the nominations are out now, so go check them out. And Grace, do you have a question?
I do. Speaking of the Met Gala, one of the most notable elements is the phone policy at the Met Gala, a policy that I think we all can agree the U.S. government might benefit from implementing in some of its rooms. Which brings us to our trivia question. Okay. Who is former National Security Advisor and text queen Mike Waltz's brother-in-law? That's Mike Waltz, the former National Security Advisor.
Whoa, this is
wow. This feels like
like an essay question on the SATs. Goodness.
I'm going to be Googling over the break. We'll be right back with the answer here on the Wow Reports.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James, and standing in for Blake, who's getting a haircut, Grace.
Hello. All right, I'll repeat the question and see if anyone has any guesses. Who is former National Security Advisor and text queen Mike Waltz's brother-in-law?
Well, now, Mike Waltz is the one who was just moved over to be the ambassador, right, after the Signal Gate. Yes. So I'm going to say Robbie Williams.
Gavin Newsom.
Are they in politics?
They are not, though they're a notable figure.
I can't pretend. I have no idea.
It is none other than the Creed frontman, Scott Stapp.
Stop it! That is insane.
It's the first time.
Find that out.
It's the first time Creed has been mentioned in the Wow Report in our 18, 19 years.
Are you a secret Scott Stapp super fan?
Today I am. Yes, with my arms wide open.
Wow, what an amazing question.
Grace, before you go away, do you give me your permission to talk about my next topic? Do you give me consent?
Absolutely, I consent.
Do we need a trigger warning?
Yeah.
Well, depends who you are.
Okay. That's good. That's a tease. I like that. Number 7, Tom.
Number 7.
With Grace's permission, I want to talk about Jockstraps.
What?
Finally, you have James's attention.
The tie into pop culture is that Grindr, which is doing original programming, ding, 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 Fenton, new place to sell our shows to Grindr, is starting season 2 of their series Daddy Lessons, where they tell you things in the past like, like the secret dress codes, green carnations like Oscar Wilde used, or in the 90s, there was red ties and dark suede shoes and pinky rings and earrings and things of that nature.
Right.
They've also talked about leather fetishism and Abraham Lincoln. Well, they went into I would say it was in depth, but the whole show lasted about 2 minutes. But it talks about the invention of the jockstrap, which happened 1874.
Oh.
1874. C.F. Bennett of Chicago Sporting Goods Company, Sharp and Smith, provided jockstraps to support bicycle jockeys, like taxi drivers on bicycles, to help them working through cobblestone streets of Boston. So you can imagine the juggle. Fun fact for everyone, the original incarnation of the jockstrap resembled a thong, as it featured a strap that went in between the buttocks.
Isn't that still kind of what they are? Don't they still have the two straps that go?
Well, they have the two straps now, but they started off in more of a thong way.
Going up the crack. Oh, as opposed
and
to
in the 50s and 60s, gay men have worn the seductive undergarment to emphasize the butt, and the jockstraps have become mainstream as the years have gone by. When's the first time you bought a jockstrap? Because it was
1875. It was 1875, and my father took me to go get it from the Chicago store.
Were you a bicycle jockey? I was
just going to say, I meant when you were telling me that it was for the bicycle jockeys, I was thinking, yes, I understand that the cupping action, it would help the balls and the penis from jiggling around, but if it's the two straps on either side of the crack, you're just going to go onto the banana of the seat. You know,
again,
I mean, your butt is so to find out that it's the thong. A thong would stop it from going into the.
Who knows if there was a seat? Maybe they had to stand and do it. I just say because when I first came out, the first time I had to get a jockstrap was like 7th grade for some sports thing at school, and my friend Richie, born the same day as me. Hi Richie. We had to go to this Bob's Sports Shop on Main Street, New Hampshire to get it. And we were so nervous. We were like giggling girls. And I'm gay, Rich is not. And my dad said, God damn, why don't you just go in and buy one? Like, what are you guys so worried about? One of those, he didn't mean to, but one of those shaming straight dad moments. You're just like,
but did they have to fit? Did some perv have to fit you for your jockstrap?
No, that's only when I moved to LA. I look for those places. But when I moved here as an adult, but when you do come out, you know, and you're all isolated and you're only gay in the village, and then you meet people and you realize that everyone, all gay men, maybe I have to ask you guys, are fetishized, find jockstraps kind of fascinating, and that's when you realize it's not a mistake that we're harboring the same little desires and fetishes and things, and our secret that when we all can come together, let's say at a gay pride parade or just in life, we can realize that, oh my God, we all grew up in our own private Idahos that were connected.
I have to confess,
yes.
I've never bought a jockstrap. I've never worn a jockstrap. I've never owned a jockstrap. I've never, ever. I'm like a gay monkey.
Yeah, you know, there's footage, Nelson Sullivan footage of me at the very first rock and roll fag bar, and I was a go-go dancer, and I was go-go dancing in this wonderful, I wish I still had it, this black studded jockstrap, and I had big hair and big Chanel jewelry on, and I was in high heels, and I only lasted the one night because Dean Johnson wanted tougher guys, you know, to be, you know, go-go dancers. But there is really fabulous footage of me dancing in a jockstrap.
In addition to James St. James, I have just highlighted, and then I'll be done, these jockstrap highlights in pop culture. Michael Onteen in a film called Slapshot, which was about a hockey team, and he takes a victory lap with the trophy.
He was so handsome.
And a jockstrap. There's a locker room scene.
Making Love? Wasn't he the guy from Making Love? Yes.
There's a locker room scene, also hockey, in a movie called Youngblood with Rob Lowe in a jockstrap, which very short period, but very impressive. The football player Rosie Greer used to embroider jockstraps for his teammates. Learned that in the Mike Douglas show. Elvis had a bejeweled jock that's somewhere in his collection. And Kim Kardashian, a year or two ago, was on the cover of Interview magazine, red, white, and blue, with a big strap going up.
I remember that, yes. I used to wear them under dresses and run around and lift my dress up at parties and flash everything.
And last but not least, Troye Sivan, I believe, had a jockstrap worked into his Met Gala look in the past. He wasn't. I don't know if he was there this year.
Was it that? Oh, okay.
I wanted to talk about jockstraps. It just normalizes it for me, and now I want to buy one for Fenton.
Well, now you know what to give me for my birthday. Maybe too late though. I think. Grindr TV. Where do you watch it? Like what?
On their socials. So I saw it on TikTok.
Oh no, okay. Because you know who else has a streaming network is OnlyFans, OFTV, and it's like cooking shows and you know,
it's all content, baby. At the end of the day, it's all content.
Right. Well, thank you, Tom, for Jockstraps. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
Death of a Unicorn. And I had wanted to see it in the theater. Unfortunately, it only played for a week at the Grove. And then I managed to stream it on Fandango over the weekend. And it is a killer cast. It is so good. It's Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Téa Leoni, Richard E. Grant, and Will Poulter. Okay. And
I love Will Poulter.
Téa Leoni is hysterical. It's so wonderful to see her. She's so good. It's Paul Rudd is a frazzled nerd, and his daughter is Jenna Ortega, and they are going up to a hunting lodge in the woods of his new boss, Richard E. Grant, who is a pharmaceutical billionaire. And as they're driving up, they hit something on the road, and they think it's a moose or a deer or something. They get out, and it's a unicorn. And they're like, what in the hell is this? And it's not quite dead. And Paul Rudd says, well, the only thing you can do is put it out of its misery. We have to kill it. And before he does, Jenna reaches out, looks at the unicorn. The unicorn looks at her, and they have this sort of mind connection. And she touches the unicorn, and she's immediately transported to the psychedelic realm with the unicorn. And it's like they're almost going to heaven. And then Paul Rudd hits it on the head, and the connection is broken. And so they put the unicorn in the back of the truck, and they think that they say we're going to bury it later when everyone's asleep. So they go to this hunting lodge with these wackadoodle billionaires, these evil billionaires. It's Richard E. Grant is on his deathbed. His wife, Téa Leoni, is the trophy wife. Will Poulter is the bratty son, this trust fund son. And they're talking, and all of a sudden, Jenna Ortega has really bad acne, and she's really frumpy and everything. And she goes into the bathroom, and the acne is cured. And she looks beautiful. She looks like Wednesday Addams. She's just gorgeous. And all of a sudden, it goes to Paul Rudd, and he's no longer this frazzled nerd. He's Paul Rudd, and he's very handsome, and he doesn't need glasses anymore. He has 20/20 vision. And somehow touching the unicorn has this sort of curative quality to it, this sort of miraculous. It's a miracle. And so all of a sudden, as they're talking, there's this big crash outside, and the unicorn is still not dead, and it busts out of the truck and is jumping all around, and then it collapses, and it really is dead. And they realize very quickly that it has this curative power to it. And so the billionaires decide, Richard E. Grant takes it, chops it up, and eats it, and he's off of his deathbed. And Will Poulter starts chopping it into little lines, sniffing them, smoking them like in crack pipes, and suddenly he's a genius. And they realize that if they can take this, if they can sort of get the unicorn horn and replicate it, then they can take over the world and make hundreds of billions of more dollars and And so that's the setup right there. And it's so brilliant and so funny, and it's like spot on, very smart. It's really good. And then after the unicorn dies, 2 other unicorns show up, and they're hell-bent on revenge, and it turns into this horror movie where they're being chased through the woods by these unicorns, and they're trying to stab them, and they kill. It's like they're serial killers. They kill half of them, and it turns into this bonkers. It sort of falls apart a little bit at the end, but the first half is so good, and it's so smart and funny, and it's just, like I said, it is so good to see Téa Leoni, Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Richard E. Grant, who was so good. Remember in what was Saltburn.
Saltburn.
Remember, he was so funny in Saltburn. He was so good in Saltburn.
Yes. All right.
Yes. So he's having a bit of a career of resurgence right now, and it's like I said, it's just if you get a chance to watch it for free, if it shows up on Netflix or Hulu or something, just give it a chance because it's lots of fun.
Death of a Unicorn. It's a great title.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I have a bit of a crisis. Number 5.
Number 5.
I really have 3 topics And I kind of don't know if I really should talk about any of them, but I'm going to like see what you think as a sort of
So we get to choose.
Can we buzz in and stop you? Can we buzz in and stop you?
Yeah, exactly. When you get bored, we'll go on to the next. Okay. Barry Diller has a book coming out. And
it's fine to talk about this. I think it's
There's a long article, which I have not read, in New York Magazine this week, talking about his love and relationship for Diane von Furstenberg, because I guess the thrust of it is that after years of speculation and people gossiping, he's gay. And yet he has this very special unicorn-like relationship, you might say, with DVF. Yeah,
I know James has a sort of a thought process and a policy about coming out and why it's political and why people should do it sooner than later.
Yeah,
we all knew Barry Diller was gay. Anyone, it was not closeted about it in the industry or in his life. I think it's great that he comes out now, better late than never, in this crazy ass world that a billionaire can come out and say he's gay, because he's not DEI, he's just genius at what he's done. And I think his relationship with Diane von Furstenberg, what is a relationship, people? Let them be how they want to be. How do they ever want to be partners? I support their relationship and whatever. I don't want people putting their nose into who I love and how I love. And I don't,
however they want to identify, right?
Yes, as a possibility.
Yeah.
You're kind of arguing with the wind here, because I was the one who said that everyone can come out in their own time. And when we were talking about this yesterday, I said it's fine whenever anyone wants to come out.
Well, I used to know a guy named James St. Jimmy, and he once said that not coming out during the AIDS crisis meant that people were dying.
Okay, yes, and to that point too, it is. You come out when you're 83 years old. I mean, nobody cares. It's not going to hurt your career. It's no big deal. Nobody gives a fuck. So it is sort of like you waited until the very last minute to do it. But by the same token, I don't, he's more than welcome to have this wonderful relationship with Diane von Furstenberg, who is, who are we to question it? Who are we to say that it is or isn't real or whatever?
And queer people have been in the world forever, and we have integrated or attached ourselves to normal society in different ways. And we know that a lot of people used to, and some still do, that gay men will get married in order to raise a heteronormative family.
Isn't that what it was called? Is it at a Boston marriage, or is the Boston marriage the two women?
Maybe, or a lavender marriage, but that if that works for people and they get their yin yangs and their what they need out of life.
Yeah. No. I'm totally. But I do. God bless him. So I'm glad that he's happy and he's doing it on his terms. So there you go.
Yeah. He wrote before, I guess he decided to come out. He had a personal bill of rights that he lists. I would live with silence, but not with hypocrisy. I would never pose or pretend. I wouldn't do a single thing to make anyone believe I was living a heterosexual life. I wouldn't tell, and I wouldn't allow myself to be asked. I would live my life within these constraints, and I would never do a single thing to delude anyone. I would never bring a man as a date to a heterosexual event, and I'd never bring a woman as a beard either. To me, actually, I got to read this article, and then I'm gonna read the book because
But do you think that Barry Diller, billionaire, one of the most successful men on the planet, that if he had brought a man to an event, that anyone would look askew or he would get any blowback from it? No, he could have done it at any point, and it wouldn't have made a drop of difference in the world of what people think of him.
Perhaps, but those were his rules.
But, right, exactly, because isn't coming out 9 times out of 10, it's more about you and yourself than
and we don't know what trauma he experienced or how he was brought up to feel about being gay or all of that, so what shame he has or guilt.
And to Tom's point, I do think all relationships are different, and I do think theirs is a genuinely unusual and interesting relationship that I'm intrigued. I'm going to get the book, I'm going to read it, and then we'll talk about it properly.
Well, when you did the Statue of Liberty thing, I remember your takeaway was how genuinely comfortable they were with each other and how happy they were in each other's presence and how what a wonderful relationship it was. And it's goals for sure to find someone, if you can find someone in life who brings you joy and pleasure. And
unlike James and I, who fight at every turn.
Well, that's good. Because the other things I was going to talk about Conclave and the whole Trump thing of like, you know, his AI picture of himself as the Pope. We don't have to talk about that.
Distractions from the fact that he's grifting the nation and lining his own pockets. That motherfucker, insatiable, greedy pig.
Exactly. And I do promise to talk about this sometime. I've been meaning to talk about it for so long, but the Sarcopod, which is created by
Sarco.
Well, weirdly, no, it's spelled SARCO, shortened version of sarcophagus. And it's a do yourself off pod. You know, it's like you can kill yourself in the pod. You get in the pod.
No, Fenton, I don't want you getting any ideas. I don't want
today.
Not today. All right. I'll tell you what, then. I have the perfect next thing. Grace, the question.
Hello. I do have a question about the papal conclave. So today marks the first day with no new pope, black smoke. Mm-hmm. The shortest papal conclave was in 1503, and it lasted less than 10 hours. Would you like to guess the longest papal conclave?
Well, I think it's this show. We'll have the answer right here on the Wow Report after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Conclave edition of the Wow Report with Grace's fabulous question.
Yes. I know everyone's on the edge of their seats wondering, what is the longest papal conclave in history?
I want to say 10 days, but I have a feeling it was only like 4 or something.
I think we want to go Price is Right. Whoever gets closest without going over. So you say 10 days, James?
10, yeah.
I'm going to go 3 weeks.
I'm going to go 3 weeks, 1 day.
Well, you will be gobsmacked to find out that it was actually 2 years and 9 months.
What?
Long. Yes.
Who was the Pope that they elected?
They ended up electing Gregory X, but only after they locked them in the Palazzo, and they ended up having to remove the roof and expose them to the elements to speed up their decision making. Mm-hmm. But this was back in 1268.
So I was going to say, yes. Oh my gosh, 2 months. That's insane.
Right.
Yep. 2 years, 9 months.
Oh, 2 years.
2 years, James. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Is that what brings down the roof?
Tom, you win. Tom, you win.
Congratulations, Tom. Your price was right.
Thank you.
We are counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow, and we've reached number 4.
Number 4.
There are stars, there are superstars, there are mega stars, and then there are actors and characters that register so deeply in your psyche and in your soul. And we lost one of those this past week. And I want to talk about the passing and the life and the legacy of Ruth Buzzi. Now, Fenton, I don't know, does she resonate with you, Miss Ruth Buzzi?
I don't. I need to be educated, as happens so often on this.
She was made world famous when she was on Laugh-In, which was a huge show from 67 to 73. It was as hot as anything could be. And she was with Goldie Hawn and Lily Tomlin, so they all got their start. And she played many, many characters, but she played this one, Gladys. And I know you've seen her, Fenton, where she just uglies herself up. And she puts a hairnet on, and she has a bun, and she has a purse, and she wears a little overcoat. And she and Artie Johnson, he played Dirty Old Man, and she would hit him with her.
Yes, I know exactly who you mean.
Yes. Gladys. And she took that character. She did many, many things in her career, but she took that character, she brought it outside the show. And for instance, she would do Dean Martin roasts, which I love watching old Dean Martin roasts on YouTube. And if you're not watching them, you should. And there's one where the most beautiful in the world, Angie Dickinson, during her policewoman life, is being honored. And then from the dais out comes Gladys, and she just She beats her to smithereens, and Dean Martin. And it's all kind of politically incorrect humor today because she's playing how ugly she is, and people are kind of, and like she's says to Dean Martin, like, what does that model have that I don't have? And he's like, well, I can think of two things, but I can't do it justice. I can't recreate it for you here. She was so funny. I got to meet her in real life, which I'm going to show you some pictures at the end of this. She also is famous for a certain generation mind that she and Jim Nabors starred in the 76 Saturday morning show, The Lost Saucer, which was a Sid and Marty Krofft show. James, did you ever see that?
Yes. Oh my God, Sid and Marty Krofft. Yes, of course.
And also when, you forget how influential and omnipresent variety shows were, and Ruth was on them all, sometimes as a regular, sometimes as a recurring guest, and she brought comedy and class to everything that she did.
There's a great Here's Lucy episode with her where she's Gladys, but then she's also sort of a glamorous flapper. She sort of breaks out of the mold and of her own mold, and is sort of fabulous and a great dancer in a little red sparkly dress. I do want to say too, Joanne Worley, I put her up there with Joanne Worley too, is one of those just great 70s comedians. But Ruth Buzzi was right up until last week, up until 2 weeks ago, she was very vocal on X. She posted corny jokes every day. She was she was very funny and very approachable. And she answered me a couple times. Yes. It was just one of those things that like she really managed to stay relevant her whole career.
And she celebrated Catterday, which is Saturday. Yes. She was 88. I'm just going to read this little excerpt from a post that Goldie Hawn wrote, and she goes, she says, Ruthie, my Ruthie, you were my girlfriend, my heart through life's ups and downs. You made me laugh like no one else could. You were beyond talented, Ruthie, a one-of-a-kind soul who brought so much laughter and light to the world. Those deep, joyful laughs we shared, especially while making laughing, will stay with me forever. I love you, wishing you peace and beautiful travels in the arms of the angels. And I will just leave you with this. I've talked about them many times, but I've told you about my friends, Art and Charlie, who are no longer with us, who are like my godfathers here and took care of me so brilliantly and had a beautiful thing. Well, when I, helped with Charlie's passing, and when the house was done, there was all these friends, they all wanted to take things. And I took one ceramic like tiger and nothing else, but I took these pictures that I found in a drawer. This is Charlie looking in the 70s, just looking so handsome when he produced the Dinah Shore show. This is Art on one of his birthdays, just looking like fun. And this is their friend and neighbor, Ruth Buzzi, with Jim Nabors and Diana Hyland. And you can't, but the polyester on everyone, the 70s, they are laughing so hard. It's like finding pictures of mom and dad when you didn't even know them. And it so exemplifies the spirit of Art and Charlie and the kind of people that they brought around them. And Ruth was one of them. And the last time I saw Ruth was when Charlie had just passed, and I passed her. They lived like next door to each other. Wow. And I got to have a little talk with her, and she paid her respects. So, Goldie Hawn said it best, but, peace and beauty as you travel in the arms of the angels, Ruth Buzzi.
It was beautiful. Number 3, James.
Number 3.
Number 3, I watched another movie streaming, Another Simple Favor, which is a sequel to the 2018 movie A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. That was so brilliant. And this is another movie, sort of like Death of a Unicorn, that starts off with a lot of promise and then just descends into gobbledygook. And I cannot, for the life of me, really recommend it. But the original movie was very stylish. Blake Lively had that hair, and she was in Tom Ford dresses, outfits, and suits the whole time. And there was lots of quips and going back and forth and sort of funny, but it was also a mystery. And then this is Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively are back again. This time they're in Capri, and Blake Lively is out of prison, and she is marrying into this billionaire family on Capri, and people start dying at the wedding, and the murder starts happening. And I'm not going to tell you who the murderer is because it's very convoluted. I'm not sure I even understand it anymore. But the thing is we've talked about this before. You can't get me to hate Blake Lively. There's a lot of Blake Lively hate out there right now, and there's people are coming for her from all directions. I love her. I love Blake Lively movies. So I think go back and watch the original A Simple Favor. It is a classic of the 21st century. Not many people have seen it. Watch it. It's a stylish mystery, and it's so good. And it's Anna Kendrick is hysterical. She's a blogger, and she becomes obsessed with this glamorous mother who is at the school. It's so good.
That's another Simple Favor. Number 2. I want to pay tribute to Linda Williams. So it's not Rest in Perfection, although it could be Rest in Porn, because Linda Williams was a pioneering professor of porn studies. She wrote a book in 1989 called Hardcore: Power, Pleasure, and the Frenzy of the Visible. And the Frenzy of the Visible is one of my favorite phrases, I guess, or favorite ideas around porn. Well, number one, she was establishing the legitimacy of studying pornography as something worthy of study. And I guess that characterizes what Linda Williams did. She studied genre films, she studied horror. And in fact, I think it was a sort of study of horror films that led her to study pornography and come up with this idea of the frenzy of the visible, which is basically the idea that truth, or the truth of sex and sexuality, can be revealed through direct visual representation. And she talks about how pornography progressed from stag films to more and more explicit and close-up kind of representation of pornography, as if you could somehow capture what sex and sexuality was all about by seeing it. And of course, you kind of can't, right?
It's that same thing we were talking about last time when we were saying about how you've always said that you can't capture a party on film because it's so visceral and this is sort of the same thing about sex. It's something you have to experience in order to really understand it. So,
and I think that's as a sort of, not a principle necessarily, but as a sort of fundamental of what art is often trying to do, is create something and sort of pin something down, but it always just slips out of view, right? It always just like slightly escapes.
But I think that's where spirit and art come together, because I think trying to explain what God is or spirituality is impossible. It's intangible. So it's about dance and music and chords and whatever, and sex in its own way. Like, how do you have to, you can see it, but you can't see, you need other.
It's like trying to explain Death of a Unicorn, and there's just no way to really.
Oh God, I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah. I do want to just very quickly. I don't know if our listeners know this, but Fenton, you wrote a book called The History of Pornography years ago, and you had a TV series. WoW had a TV series, The History of Pornography. Did you talk to her at any?
Yes. Oh no, she was so lovely, and so she was up at the University of Berkeley, and honestly, she was so nice and down to earth and approachable, and sort of. I've now met quite a few professors of pornography, and they're always the nicest people, willing to entertain all sorts of ideas. They're not sort of this idea, I guess academia,
they're stuffy academics.
Yes, they're not exactly. And I guess because they embrace things that other people think are just sort of worthless and sort of that you should never really consider, they sort of end up being really refreshing people. And Linda was really lovely. I only
it seems like just a year or two ago you went up to Berkeley to give a
that was Constance Penley up at University of Santa Barbara.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's another pioneer of porn studies. And I honestly, it's a great book. It's not written in a very sort of technical, jargonistic way.
And what's it called again?
Hardcore.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hardcore. Power, Pleasure, and the Frenzy of the Visible. So she passed away at the end of last month. So rest in
pornography. Oh,
Linda Williams. Yes.
Go to that great orgy in the sky.
Going to take one more break, and then the number one thing this week that made us go wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow, and we have reached number one.
Number one.
Tonight is the premiere of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 10. When the trailer came out for All Stars 10, I was reminded how amazing it is and how amazing the season was. It's a format change where it's a tournament of All Stars where we have 18 queens in total, but 6 queens in each bracket, 3 different brackets that compete. There's no eliminations. They earn points, and then the highest point earners go on to the semifinals and then the finals. And this part is our extra special guest judges are incredible. And I'd like to say that we planned it that way, but it's just really about the long tail of Theron Smothers and Alicia Gregaros, who are talent producers, have been for well over a decade. They have such good relationships with the talent wranglers and handlers. They make every person who comes to the show feel like it's the best day of their life. And because of them, we have on our little show as extra special guest judges for season 10 of All Stars, which premieres tonight on Paramount Plus, Chaperone. Heard of her? Little upcoming Chaperone. Ice Spice, who I don't know if this makes the cut, but RuPaul, it's a lip sync to her song. When I don't spoil something, and he goes, prior to tonight, we were asked to prepare a lip sync performance of "You Think You're the Shit, But You're Not a Fart" by Ice Spice. And Ru, I don't know what makes the cut. Ru just broke out into a 5-minute laughing fit. He just couldn't stop laughing. He knew the name of the song. He knew what he was saying, but somehow being in that moment and saying it just became the shit.
Frenzy of the visible, if you ask me.
Coleman Domingo, who's always been on my radar, but to be in his presence, to feel his auras, that is one sweet, sexy man.
And co-chair of this year's Met Ball, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
he's happening. Sarah Michelle Gellar, it's her second time. She's one of the most beloved judges. The queens, they're all the right age. They just love Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh God, who doesn't love Sarah Michelle Gellar? Oh,
we also had
such a moment right now too.
Yes, and we all speaking of Kate Beckinsale, who is the sexiest. Like I could switch, and she knew all about the show. She had platforms. She wore a black bow that would make Minnie Mouse say, "Too big, too much." She looked fantastic. She was sassy and saucy. And then it can't get any bigger for me to have returning, but together, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande.
Wow.
Who are on for a slightly Wicked themed episode promoting Wicked for Good, which is coming out in November. So our guests, and we have other guest judges that are equally as fabulous. So thank you, RuPaul. Thank you, Wonder of Wonder. Thank you, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 10 premiering on Paramount Plus tonight.
Well, I just also, Tom, I have to say thank you to you because you really are a spectacular engine of continual reinvention with the show. And just, you're always so modest and self-effacing about it. But,
thank you. I love my job. I love my job.
Well, thank you, Tom, and thank you, James and Grace. Wow, thank you for the questions. Just tell Blake he doesn't need to come back.
I will. He's been replaced.
And thank you all for listening to this week's edition of the Wow Report. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.